Hello my friend! Today I'm going to be going through another InBody from one of our other amazing members here at Bench on Better. It's important to note that in order for us to know where we want to go, we have to understand where we are now. If you don't know where we're starting, we're not going to be able to make a plan for where to go from here because the next steps are unclear. And if you don't know where you want to go, if you don't know what your goal is, if you don't have something defined, that's okay. We can make sure that one step at a time we are moving in a direction that you want to go. And if we end up that we're not going in that direction, we can stop for a moment, assess the situation, assess where we are, assess the habits, the routines that we've been doing to get to where we are now. Because look, you're not a product of your goals. We're not products of what we aspire to do or what we hope to do or what we want to do. We are just products of the routines and habits that we've kept up to this point in time. We are the outcome of all the things we've been doing up to this point. So in order for us to know where we want to go, we have to know where we're starting. And the first place to know where we're starting is if we're talking about changing your body composition at all, it's gonna come down to diet and exercise. Those main components. And yeah, there are other factors, of course, we're not gonna get into them in this video right now. So for this person, they came to me and they just said, look, I'm not happy with what's going on. I'm not sure where I want to go, but I know that I don't want to be right here and I want to make more progress. So for this person, they started back in January 2019 with their first InBody. And this was at 72.8 pounds of total body water, 26.9 pounds of dry lean mass, 47.7 pounds of body fat, which adds up to their total weight of 147.3. The other two most recent ones we have here are from May of 2024 and from July of 2024. So respectively, we're gonna go through the same numbers. Total body water at 73.6, then we have 26.9 as dry lean mass, 38.5 as body fat, and 139 pounds as total weight. And then the most recent one, you can see here, 73.6 pounds of water, 26.9 pounds of dry lean mass, 39.9 pounds of body fat, adding up to 140.4 pounds of weight. So this person seems to be a little upset because they hadn't seen a lot of progress. They've actually gone up in body fat since their last one. And so this is absolutely normal to feel that way. From the start, your water weight has gone up, but not by much at all, not even by a full pound, almost a full pound, by 0.8 pounds of your water weight. We have dry lean mass sustaining, which is a huge win. If you consider this 5 years of time, you have kept all of your muscle mass. For you to be 5 years older, it's important to make note that you have sustained and maintained your dry lean mass and without a doubt have improved it, making it more resilient. So even though you don't add more muscle, you are getting stronger, which shows because you are lifting more weights in the gym, you need less time for recovery. You can not only lift more weights, heavier weights, but you can lift more repetitions, more sets. This is amazing. But the one thing that did change over the 5-year span is your body fat went from 47.7 pounds down to 39.9 as the most recent one. You've lost 7.8 pounds of body fat. That's almost 8 pounds, almost 10 pounds of body fat in 5 years, while maintaining strength and building strength and improving strength and having more strength, but keeping and sustaining dry lean mass. As humans, we neglect and we forget this, but at the age of roughly 30, we stop producing the hormones that help us grow muscle, that help us make the changes in or have good changes in our energy. That hormone's production starts to slow down or stop. And then every year after 30, as we get into our 40s and later years, we start the decline. We're not made to live forever. Our bodies deteriorate and decline and atrophy. So for you to have sustained muscle in 5 years while having lost body fat, if nothing else were to change, but you were to continue to stay on that same path of maintaining muscle mass over the years and then lose more body fat or just sustain the loss you've had, I would write that off as a huge, huge win, given that human beings aren't meant to do that naturally. So we have to figure out what we're doing. That's the first step. Figure out what we're doing now to know what changes we need to make. If your body fat's going up, you're just consuming more calories than your body is burning. So instead of trying to burn more calories, I would recommend eating a little bit less or measuring what you're eating so you can know how much less to eat. Just track your food. Document everything. Get a food scale. They're like 20 bucks on Amazon. And body fat's important. Let's not forget that. Body fat is just stored energy, but it's super important for so many other factors of our health. Now, when it comes down to body fat, that tends to be the one that gets the bad light because if we have excess amounts, diseases and issues and concerns and complications that people have, and that's the issues that we don't want with our health. And if we're talking about losing body fat, we have to figure out and we have to remember 3,500 calories is 1 pound of body fat. So it doesn't matter where those calories come from, 3,500 calories of broccoli or 3,500 calories of Oreos. If it's extra calories in our body, it's going to be stored for later use as energy, which is just a nice way of saying body fat. If we want to lose body fat, we have to eat less calories than we are burning. And burning meaning your total daily energy expenditure. But what is that? Good question. Let me elaborate here. Okay, so now that we're over on the computer, I'm gonna look at this little graphic that I put together that just shows us what your total daily energy expenditure is, accounted by it in 4 pieces. Now there's one piece that makes up 60% or more of your total daily energy expenditure, or the amount of calories you burn in a day, considering these 4 factors. The first one is your base metabolic rate. So your base metabolic rate is the rate in which your body burns calories in a 24-hour period just staying alive. So you're burning 1,300 calories just staying alive. The next 3 areas are only about 40% of our calorie burning capacity. And that comes from non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is a fun, fancy way of saying anything that's not exercise, that's activity. So talking, walking, gardening, things like that. Then we have the thermic effect of food that accounts for roughly another 10% or so of our calories. When it digests food, it requires calories. So you burn calories digesting the food that you're eating. And some foods have a higher thermic effect, have a higher calorie burning outcome than other foods. And I'll probably talk about that in another video. And then finally, as a gym owner, I'm gonna tell you this, only about 10% of your total daily energy expenditure is going to come from exercise. That's why I tell people all of the time, and I will say this until I rest in my grave or until somehow science tells us otherwise. But if you are going to the gym with the outcome of I want to be healthier or change my composition at all, consider going to the gym as the drop or the addition to your health 401k. Every time you're there, if you're focusing on improving your balance, your strength, your stability, your mobility, your cardiovascular health, yes, endurance, those things all yes, but go there with intention. Going to the gym just to burn calories to punish yourself because you feel like you need to do that is not a long-term success plan. And I've seen this happen time and time again. Someone joins Bent on Better, they stick it out, they start to see progress because they're exercising more than they have before. They get to the point where they've seen the results they wanted to see to this point in time and they stop. And then they stop altogether. And then they slowly regain the weight. And then years later, some of them have come back. And I'm saying this with a kind heart and a smile on my face, like I would love to have you back. But why ever leave? If you leave, it's because I want you to know that you can do this on your own and continue to do this on your own. And if you're not tracking your energy expenditure with like a Whoop or an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, those aren't very accurate, by the way. It's another input for data. So we have an option to track our data even more with the InBodies, with a wearable, with tracking our calories inside of MyFitnessPal. You can get super ninja about this if you want to. But if you're just looking at this as like what are the next steps, here's what I would do. I would look at the calories, I look at the 2,094 calories, and I would look at the 1,857 calories. I would put them together, I would divide them to figure out that the average number there is about 1,975. I already did that math. That would be your estimated total daily energy expenditure from my math based on the data that I have. If we track your numbers for a week, we can then know if you are eating above that on a daily or below that or hitting that. Once we know how many calories you're burning in that week, and we know what your total daily energy expenditure is, then it comes down to figuring out if you want to be aggressive with your fat loss plans or not aggressive with your fat loss plans, or just not worry about it at all. And the aggressive plan would be, remembering back, 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of body fat. So if you want to lose 1 pound of body fat, in 1 week, you just take out 500 calories each day. That's it. And by the end of that week, 7 days times 500 calories, 3,500 calories, you can expect to lose 1 pound of body fat. If you want to lose 1 pound of body fat in 2 weeks, so a less aggressive approach, all you need to do is subtract 250 calories from each day for 14 days. And if you do that math, 250 times 14, 3,500 calories. That's 1 pound of body fat. It's that simple when it comes to the math. The science is that simple, the math is that simple, but it's not easy. And that's where a coach comes into play. A coach is there to guide you. We have resources like the InBody at Bent on Better that you can use as another component to see and judge whether or not you're going in the right direction or the direction that you want to go in. But just know that looking at this right now as a bad thing is going to lead you down a hole it's going to be dark and miserable and you're not going to be happy. But if you look at this as just data, as just an opportunity for you to learn more, if you can continue to learn more about yourself, learn more about the foods you're eating, you can then start to fine tune them. And in my next video, maybe another following video, I will talk about protein and how we need to make sure we're eating adequate amounts of protein and how it's more satiating and actually burns 2 to 3 times the amount of energy, thermic effective food, than compared to carbohydrates or fats. So by eating the right foods in quantities that are going to be helpful for you, your journey will be that much easier while keeping it simple. But we have to start somewhere. So for you, my friend, if you're looking at making changes, you need to know where you are starting before you need to know what are the next steps. And if we can know where you're starting, we can then know what the next best step is. Even if we don't know the direction we're going in, we can at least make more educated guesses as to what the next best step would be. And as time goes by, you'll figure it out yourself as to what works well for you and what doesn't work. Although this is a lot of this is based on literature and science, and for me, it's a lot of experience, having been doing this for over a decade for people. Before Bent on Better, this was an online service that I was doing, and it was an in-person service when I used to work at the other gyms in the area. This was something I've been doing for years and for decades, and I've been doing it for myself. And so everything that I'm sharing right now is a part of that. I want you to learn, I want you to grow. And if you're someone who's always looking for the answer is right in front of you. Here it is. You're literally listening to every single moment of every single piece of what the answer is. And now it's up to you to implement these action steps or to reach out to your coach at Bent on Better to get more guidance. But just know this, wherever you are now, if you can look at it from where you were to where you are now, I'm sure of it that you would be proud of the person you are now versus who you were in the past when you got started on this journey. And if you can continue to rephrase your mindset to, would the future me be proud of what I'm doing now? And if the answer is yes, keep going. And if the answer is no, it's time to change. But either way, you're not in this alone, my friend. We're here for you. And on that note, I'll talk to you soon.